I'm almost certain if you asked Todd Akin what led to that political blow, he would have said to you, I was too busy before the interview drinking the blood of Christ. Thomas Fuller once said, another quote, you love these quotes, wine hath drowned more men than the sea. Todd Akin is the prime example of this. If I haven't convinced you yet to vote affirmative, I will go with Joel and I's ad hominem tax because, let's face it, there's not really any clash in this debate. Why won't Tom provide us with his tax returns? We all is Martin Osborne an American citizen? I demand the birth certificate and I demand it now. Mr. Black claims in his book to be a patriotic American who believes in free enterprise. Does a true American really become a connoisseur of the national drink of socialistic Europe? I mean, come on. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, and Sam Adams all owned breweries, not wineries, Mr. Black. They signed the Declaration of Independence after having a couple cold ones, not the latest vintage out of Napa Valley. Point being, real Americans drink beer. They don't drink wine. Another clear reason to vote affirmative. I'll close with yet another quote, because Mr. Black loves these. Because, hell, it's an uphill battle to win that wine's a bad thing. I had to find something to fill in a speech with. It's a William Shakespeare quote. You've already quoted him. Thou invisible spirit of wine, if thou hast no name to be known by, let us call thee the devil. Oh, you need some prep time.
No.
Just for me one. Let's take his clothes up there.
Nope, you don't have to worry about that.
I've been told by Tom Black that this is totally irrelevant to the arguments, but that I'll have fun with it.
That's what Jackson used to do.
Looks like it served him well. It says here, George Bernard Shaw was many things, but he gave us a great thought for the holidays. A mind the caliber of mine cannot derive its nutrient from cows. I must have wine. Pretty fun. Pretty irrelevant. We can skip all the big picture reasons why we're obviously crushing this debate, that the affirmative team is calling God evil, that the affirmative team is implying that all of American culture should be reversed and based on beer. They've just conceded too much evidence from experts throughout history that imply that wine is barely even a human creation, but something sent down from the heavens. So strange that you would send the middle finger back up. They accuse us of being small people obsessed with talking about wine when you're the ones that brought it up.
Given the topic.
They say that there's no disadvantage to the plan. They've forgotten the New Mexico woman story. There are decades of marriage as a disadvantage. Some of you all maybe have been living this disadvantage. What? Tom tells you, we've got the solution. Wine. Drink more wine. Todd Akin is the example of... I'm just going to move on. First it's Madoff, then it's Akin. We can go back to 07. It could be Bush. I'll get crushed in that debate. The point is they can't see clearly. They have conceded that only with wine can one have true perspective. They've already admitted that they cannot trace crimes through history without having a drink first. In fact, Joel, the last person that will speak against wine, has already admitted that he's kind of drunk. That just goes to show that if you believe anything he says, that you can thank wine for providing us with the truth. I also think that Jared really says a lot of insulting things for somebody who is from Arkansas. And And lastly, maybe I am from America. Maybe I'm just a really fast runner. They say that wine destroys the United States. I just don't think that this is true. I've been drinking now for almost 45 minutes. And I feel more American than ever. And I feel that if you do vote for this team that wants to ban wine, ban fireworks, ban the 4th of July, I don't think you can look at us as the people throwing stones at the American flag. We're not saying that you can't drink beer. This kind of divisive approach, that's what happens if you don't have a little drink every now and then. All you see everywhere is enemies, but as we have already read evidence in favor of, wine is the foundation of fellowship. And I think you all can already feel that we have won this debate. Perhaps you felt that way a few hours ago at the wine tasting. We would just like to thank you for joining in this fellowship and celebrating wine with Tom and I.
This has been a lot of fun, and there have been a lot of jokes. We just want to say how grateful we are to share a stage with these two guys, and it's a real honor. Very storied debate careers here, especially Tom Black, who's helped us become the debaters that we are today, and we're very grateful for that.
Brown noser.
Something that's not brown nosing is we didn't really want to do this debate. Jared was a little hesitant and tried to back out several times, but Dr. Morris really wanted us to, and he pushed us to be here. And so on the back of his car, when he goes outside on his Prius, he will find a Todd Aiken bumper sticker.
Is it legitimate?
I hope it's his car.
We hope. But in summation of the arguments that we've seen here, like I said in the 2AC, it's not a question of whether or not wine is good. There are lots of good things that wine has to offer, but the question of the resolution is it the root of all problems? We think that it is the root of all problems. There has been no response to the shoe example. We have claimed shoes that were found in the same cave as the first winery for literally every atrocity that has happened in the last 7,000 years, which I have not heard a response to. It can always be traced back to wine, and I think that that is what this debate is really about. Well, they have lots of benefits and lots of good anecdotes. Not only do we have some pretty cool quotes ourselves, but we also have the truth on our side and logic on our side. The only thing that matters is if we can draw that line back to wine at some point. Thank you so much for listening and for being here. Means a lot.
That was fun. Oops. And Eric.
Our final activity this evening will run us for potentially a quite long time. We're going to turn this over into open mic time because there are lots of stories in this room. There are lots of debate experiences in this room. There's lots of things that people in this room need to hear that they may not have heard before. This is a debate program that goes back over 100 years. When Missouri State was founded in 1906, the debating societies that had previously been part of the Springfield Normal School, such as the Bentonian, came over and started a debate society almost immediately in Missouri State. Virginia Craig started her own debating society in the fall of 2006, and the Normal Debating Society started in 2007. They debated on campus in debate societies. They debated on campus. Okay, something like that. And then back in the 30s, we started into the tournaments. Back in the 50s, we started into the National Debate Tournament. We've had coaches throughout the years. We've had lots of coaches that have served this program for 5, 10, 15, almost 50 years. in some cases, and it's really an impressive legacy from start to finish. We've had a pretty good run over the last few years. We've had a pretty good run over the history of the program, but perhaps the most important thing about it is that this program has brought a lot of very impressive people to Missouri State University. We have a really impressive base of alumni here. We have a very impressive tradition, and it seems to me like every year we have people that are graduating who are off to law school, off to grad school, off to go run the Library of Congress, not quite, but we're close. And so it's just really an impressive tradition, I think, from start to finish. It's because people have good developed skills, they're very good listeners, they're very good critical thinkers, they're very good at research, they're very good at synthesis, and they are very quick on their feet as well. So I want to go ahead and turn over to anybody that wants to come up here and start talking about your life and your time in this program. Mike.
Well, we're doing it because we're going from the shortest to the tallest. So I was here in the mid-'70s. And just have one story, many, but one particular one, is I had the opportunity to sing on the lap of Dr. Spicer one night at Don's house. And at the end of the song that I sang, I actually kissed his forehead. And the next morning, Don, you kissed his forehead, what are you doing? So anyway, he said, don't even go near him. He is furious at you. He was very embarrassed. So I stayed away from Dr. Spicer. And about 3 weeks later, whatever happened, it doesn't matter. But Don told me on a Sunday morning that I needed to go apologize to this individual over something else. It had nothing to do with him. It was just a different story. And so he convinced me that I needed to get in a suit and go over about 10:30 in the morning to this Mr. Smith's house to apologize. And so I went over there to Mr. Smith's house, knocked on the door, and the woman answers, and I said, hi, I'm here to sue, and I'm here to talk to Mr. Smith. And she said, there is no Mr. Smith that lives here. I said, was this address? And yes, this is the address. And I said, well, I'm here to see Mr. Smith. And she said, well, look, you come on in, you look like a fine young gentleman, and let's look in the yellow pages. And so I'm talking to her, and we're looking in the yellow pages, and all of a sudden I hear this voice in another room. Marion, can you find my pipe? And I think I heard that voice before, and I said, ma'am, I think I know where Mr. Smith's house is, and I think I'm okay. And I was actually at Dr. Spicer's house, and Don just decided to get back at me again by pulling another joke on me.